Hello, my name is Tommy Charles, and for the next few minutes, I'm going to show you a merchandising package that you might not have thought about. It's the kind of package that sometimes gets taken for granted, kind of thing that seems like a good idea, but no one seems to know the details, the costs, how it works, or enough about it really to seriously consider becoming involved. Well, we're going to explain it to you. We're going to show you facts and figures, and we're going to get you excited about possibly the most potent advertising and promotional vehicle in the country today. It's stock car racing. NASCAR Grand National Stock Car Racing, the fastest growing arm of auto racing, the country's #2 spectator sport, second only to horse racing. But the thing that is most important to you about Grand National Auto Racing is that it's probably the only popular sport totally set up to merchandise a product or a company. It's a natural for this kind of sponsorship, and here's why. First of all, the fan loyalty is hard to imagine. And they have much to be loyal to: drivers, cars, teams, and the team sponsors. There are already many big sponsors in Grand National Racing, whether race team sponsors or collateral track race sponsors. Concerns like Coca-Cola, Union Oil, STP, Goodyear, Carling Beer, Winston, K&K Insurance, American Motors, RC Cola, and Purelator, to name a few. Large companies with consumer-oriented products and services finding out and proving the many benefits of NASCAR Grand National Racing sponsorship. It simply doesn't make sense that firms of this stature would be in it, in the big way they are, unless the effort was highly beneficial. As you know, auto racing is set up in racing teams: sponsor, car owner, builder, chief mechanic, driver, and crew. It's a whole organization in itself, capable of fielding an entry. Everything is self-contained under the banner of the sponsor. For instance, take the STP racing team. Richard Petty is the car owner and driver. STP, the sponsor, and everything is STP, from radio and TV coverage, the car's paint job, to Richards and the crew's uniforms, and the STP premiums, T-shirts, patches, decals, jackets, model car kits, many more, all for sale, and all proclaiming in flaming red and blue that STP is marvelous. And it's also connected with Richard Petty. Racing teams are like other sports competitors, too. You ask, how good are they? Who's the best? Who's the comer? Who has the fans? All of these things, naturally. But there are other aspects, somewhat behind the scenes. Things like how financially stable are the teams? How good is the driver? How good are the cars? And very important, what kind of organization do they have? How do they look at promotions? How aware are they of the importance of publicity and public relations? These are the things that are important to a potential sponsor, and I'll bet you think I'm leading up to something, and you're right. I'm leading up to our team, DiGard Racing Company Incorporated, home-based, Daytona Beach, Florida. Our driver is Donnie Allison, our builder and team manager, Mario Rossi, and we race the number 88 blue and gold Chevrolet. And quite frankly, we're for sale to the right sponsor. The DiGard Racing Team is the newest major team on the circuit. By major team, we mean a team capable of winning any race we enter. A team on the caliber of the Woods Brothers organization, the Petty team, Junior Johnson. If these names aren't very familiar to you, their drivers certainly are. David Pearson, Richard Petty, Cale Yarborough. There are about 6 real competitive racing teams on the circuit. Ours, DiGard, is the newest, and we believe the best one. They are all sponsored. We are not. And there's a reason why. The men behind DiGard are businessmen. They know the value of a buck, and they also know that businessmen operate by getting their money's worth. So they waited. They invested nearly $1 million, worked out the kinks, hired the right people, and set about proving themselves and DiGard to be the top-notch contender that it is. Instead of trying to sell an idea, a dream, these men have put together a tangible product to sell. This is our first full year on the circuit, and we feel we've arrived, have proven our dependability on and off the track. We are financially sound. We built one of the top 5 race cars, and we have a driver who is equal to anyone who sits behind the wheel. Sure, that's easy to say, but with us, it's easy to prove. This year, DiGard and Donnie Allison have run up front with the best of them. 5th in the Southeastern 500 and the Atlanta 500. 4th in the Rebel 500 and 2nd in the Music City 420. Donnie was leading the Daytona 500 when a stroke of bad luck, a blowout with only 9 laps remaining in the race, forced a 6th place finish. Donnie is no rookie to racing. He broke into Grand National racing late in 1966 and was named the Grand National Rookie of the Year in 1967. He has driven independently and with factory-sponsored teams. He has also raced in the Indianapolis 500 in one of A.J. Foyt's cars to capture the Indy 500 Rookie of the Year award in 1970. Donnie has pulled into the victory lane at the Carolina 500, the National 500, the World 600, and the Firecracker 400 in a Woods Brothers Mercury. He won the prestigious Winston 500 a couple of years ago. Respected by other drivers and fans alike, Donnie was named the 1970 most popular sportsman driver. In his 8 years of Grand National racing, Donnie Allison has earned nearly $400,000 in prize money.
What are your plans for 1975?
Well, Tommy, our plans are as we thought during the season of '74 of going on and running for the national championship. And in our facility here in Daytona, we feel like that our team is probably better suited to run the championship than any other teams in the business. And as we are maintained under one roof, we don't have to rely on outside sources for our equipment and so on and so forth. We just feel like that we have the best shot at the championship.
You're generally regarded, or DiGard is generally regarded to be one of the top 4 teams in NASCAR. What does it take to really put together a first-class racing organization?
Well, it consists of really 3 major things. That's the crew, the driver, and then the sponsorship. And we feel like that at DiGard we have all the makings of this great team.
How good a driver are you?
Well, I consider myself the best driver on the Grand National circuit. Of course, that may be disputed by some people, but in my own mind, I feel like I am the best driver.
You've had a lot of help in the last few months by your owners, and you've gotten into new quarters now. Are there any other major changes you'll be making?
No, we don't foresee any other than we are going strictly into, like I say, under our own roof operations, so to speak, for our own engines, and all of our mechanical work will be done here in our facility at Daytona.
What does a sponsor get out of sponsoring a NASCAR Grand National car?
Well, Tommy, I think that NASCAR Grand National Racing is probably the best means of sponsor getting his money's worth due to the fact that we run so many television races a year and the prime time that we have on Sunday afternoons and Saturday afternoons of racing. Stock car racing is becoming the largest spectator sport in the United States, is quickly overtaking football.
Our chief mechanic and team manager, Mario Rossi, has an equally impressive record. He's been working in Grand National racing since 1957 with pioneers like Smokey Yunick and Banjo Matthews. He's worked for drivers like Fireball Roberts, John Thorne, Leroy Yarbrough, and Dick Brooks. Mario was the mechanic for Bobby Allison's factory-sponsored Dodge Charger team. Winning awards and contests is the result of an organized crew managed by the best. Mario Rossi's crew won the Union Oil pit stop contest for their precise teamwork. DiGard racing people feel they will move to the top, having a manager such as Mario Rossi, considered by the racing world to equal the best.
If you had to rank the DiGard Racing organization among the top 10 in NASCAR racing, where would you put them?
This time, Tommy, I'd rank the DiGard team firmly with the top 4, and that being the Glenwood team, the Junior Johnson team, and the Petty team.
You've been in operation a little more than a year. Where do you go from here?
Well, since we've reestablished in Daytona, we have some very nice facilities. We've got a 20,000 square foot facility now with all the different things that we need to go on, such as a dyno complex, plenty of work area, and I think that this will enable us to just continue the success that we've already had this year.
What it all gets down to is how well have you really done in the past year?
Well, the record speaks for itself. We've qualified on the pole at 3 of the major races. We've led approximately 70% of the super speedway races, and I feel that in the time of 1 year, starting with a team with totally new people and a totally new sponsor, this has been a tremendous accomplishment.
The DiGard facility, located in Daytona Beach, is at Fentress Boulevard in an industrial park less than a mile from Daytona International Raceway. With Daytona Beach being the home of speed, we feel it's a definite advantage to be located there. The racing complex, as well as the beach, is a tourist attraction. And we believe we will become a part of that scene, giving more exposure to our team and our sponsor. The track is handy for testing, and we feel it just makes sense all the way around to race out of Daytona Beach. As the bumper sticker says, if you want to race, Daytona's the place. We're housed in a brand new 20,000 square foot facility, plenty big enough to be totally self-contained, with our own engine building facility, body shop, testing and research area. We will be the best prepared racing team on the circuit. Our stable of cars at present includes 3 1974 Chevelle Lagunas, a 72 Monte Carlo, and a 1968 Chevelle Sportsman that runs short tracks. Our president and the impetus behind our program is William Gardner, a very successful Connecticut businessman. He's a self-made man and got where he is through the understanding of sound, basic business principles, applying them honestly and pursuing his goals with the drive of 10 men. Needless to say, he's the backbone of our organization, our force, our leader, you might say. And quite frankly, Bill is really bringing a new look and concept to stock car racing. He's young, aggressive, and for real. And he's come up with a new approach to race team sponsorships, which leads us to money. And really, that's what everything is all about anyway. DiGard Racing Team is expensive, and we're proud of this fact. Our operation costs money to run and will continue to cost money because we will not settle for anything below our standards. We're going to continue to be the best on the market. And like I said, we're expensive. And our sponsor will have to buy a pretty big ticket, but he gets what he pays for, and that's the switch. If we perform like we're expected to, we get paid well because we're more valuable. The more we win, the more we can do for the sponsor. Now, if we don't perform, you don't pay. It's not that simple, but it is pretty simple. Mr. Gardner has worked out a point system that lets a sponsor pay for just what he gets. For instance, if we win a race, it's one price. If we win a TV race, it's another price. If we come in the top 5, it's lower. If we drop out early in the race, then it's virtually no price at all, etc. The details of this system will be gone over in person after this message, but we think it's exciting. For once, you buy success only, and you don't have to pay for failures. It's a good deal. We've got a good thing for you here at DiGard Racing. You will like working with us. And that's really about all I have to say, except that you should be aware that every race is covered on a national radio network with over 300 stations throughout the country carrying the broadcasts. ABC Wide World of Sports is our exclusive TV outlet, televising most of the major races. We could go on and on about cost per thousand, total exposure, rating points, etc., but your advertising agency can come up with those figures. We just wanted to introduce you to DiGard Racing and get you excited enough to see how we could fit into your marketing program.
So ride on. When the car in front is slinging dust and all that I can do is cuss. I'm so far behind, about to lose my mind. And the poles are whizzing by so fast that I can't get no room to pass. And I'm hoping like hell the car's gonna last. Sundays sure are long unless you're driving home.
You also prepare for both clubs during the week, and our normal practice schedule is a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday routine because we take Tuesday off, and then the Sunday routine is merely a loosening up time, a review of the scouting material on our opponent, and just a review of our game plans.
Coach, we have just had the Southeastern Conference Commissioner Boyd McWhorter has reprimanded a player at one of our institutions in the league, and I don't think it's necessary to really name him, but this is the first time I can ever remember something of this happening where a public reprimand was made in regard to crowd control.
Well, of course, Dr. McWhorter and his staff and all of our presidents at our Southeastern Conference institutions and our athletic directors are greatly concerned over this increased problem of crowd control. We've been very fortunate in our conference to be void of crowd control problems. We've been one league that has not faced up to really serious crowd control instances as it has happened in other areas of the country. I think Dr. McWhorter's action here is a reinforcement of his concern as the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference that our institutions are going to control the crowds and their players. And I know what I do, for example, Coach Bailey and you and all of us give a great deal of thought to security, to educating our crowd and to controlling our players so that we won't have those type of instances that will be detrimental to intercollegiate basketball.
Coach, another question we had comes from Dwayne Cantrell up at Sheffield, who watches over WOWL TV. He says, what I can't understand is why Alabama and Vanderbilt can be rated in the polls so high, and yet Kentucky is picked to win the SEC, and says, why is this done?
Well, Mr. Cantrell, I can't understand polls, period, but I think the reason for it is very simple. The poll that picked Kentucky was really the coaches' ratings on a preseason basis, and coaches generally would tend to go with the defending champion. If they're gonna rate people, they're gonna tend to go that way. Whereas the poll is more of a popularity type thing.
Of course, we've got Georgia Saturday night in Athens, and we've got Florida Gators at Memorial Coliseum next Monday. And I know just off of the difference in the crowd reaction from the Kentucky game and then back to the Georgia Tech game, it's important for us to have a good crowd out because every game is very important in this conference race, and that's Monday night with Florida. And we'll see you next week on the Coach C.M. Newton Show.